One. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Delusions of Grandeur. I'm Dave. This is Boris, and
Guy.
we're going to go on about a remake of a film that we just recently discussed about. It is from the year 2013. It is called, and let me put my apples aside here. Um, Secret Life of Walter Mitty. It is a remake of the film The Secret Life of Walter Mitty from 1945, I think it was.
I think it was 47, if I remember
47.
correctly. I'm
Yes,
not sure, but I think.
yeah, 1947. And the role was originally put out by Danny Kaye. And after reading about the film afterwards that we went on about, I just wanted to state that I found out that his wife, Danny Kaye's wife, was the writer behind the songs, and evidently the writer of the original story did not like did not like the producer Samuel Goldwyn at all. In
Oh,
fact, there was some back and forth about the original title, and um, he basically titled it "The Secret Life of Walter Mitty" after getting Danny Kaye, and evidently the writer of the original story did not like Danny Kaye at all. He thought that he was too much of a comedian or whatnot, and even this film, this 2013 film, went through several pitfalls.
oh.
Let's see. So, um, I guess Samuel Goldwyn Jr., whose father produced the 1947 film that we know, um, he conceived the idea of doing this remake in 1994, and
Oh.
originally he had Jim Carrey in mind for the title role.
Well, I can kind of imagine that happening.
So could I have, and I wonder what the picture would have been with Jim Carrey involved. And
Yeah.
Walt Disney at the time was eager to purchase the remake rights, but Goldwyn Jr. instead chose to go with New Line Cinema, which had a positive working relationship with Jim Carrey on Dumb and Dumber and The Mask in 1994. And then New Line Cinema bought the rights in 1995 with the understanding that the Samuel Goldwyn Company would be involved in the creative decisions. Evidently, that was not to be. Babalu Mendel and Lowell Gans turned in the first draft of the screenplay for this remake in 1997 in July, and then Ron Howard entered negotiations to direct the same month and to cover producing duties with Brian Grazer and Imagine Entertainment, and then Howard and Imagine Entertainment left the project in favor of a movie called Ed TV. I
I haven't seen that one.
don't think I own it as of yet, but I remember seeing it once. It was kind of interesting. But And so this movie evidently sat in development hell over the challenges and evidently using a contemporary storyline.
Yeah, definitely.
So in May of 1999, New Line hired the Mask director Chuck Russell to rewrite the script and serve as Howard's replacement. Filming was set to begin in early 2000, but was pushed back. And around this time, Peter Tolan worked on rewrites, and in May of 2001, Goldwyn filed a lawsuit against New Line for breach of contract. And Goldwyn claimed that the studio extended their 1995 deal until May 2001, but then they announced that it wanted to transfer the rights for the remake to another company and have Goldwyn surrender his creative input.
Well, you really know a lot about the history of the movie.
I do kind of. And then in November of 2002, New Line was forced to revert the film rights back to Goldwyn, who won his lawsuit and took the property to Paramount Pictures. During pre-production discussions between Paramount and DreamWorks on Lemony Snicket's a series of unfortunate events which starred Carey, Steven Spielberg, ahead of DreamWorks, rekindled interest in working with Carey. The duo previously considered Meet the Parents, but the outing fell apart. In May 2003, Spielberg agreed to direct and brought in DreamWorks to co-finance. The Secret Life of Walter Mitty with Paramount would acquire DreamWorks in 2006. Then in November 2003, Zach Helm was rewriting the script for this. And Spielberg and DreamWorks vacated the film in April 2004 in favor of War of the Worlds and Munich. So the goal was to get back to the short story and capture not only the content, but the original spirit. Producer John Goldwyn, son of Samuel, told the Hollywood Reporter at the time. Then screenwriter Richard Gravenis entered a discussion to write a new script following Spielberg's departure, and Samuel Goldwyn commented that Lagravenes's script had a momentous and unique approach compared to others. I always felt that unless we got a great script, the movie disintegrates into a series of wonderful gags. Goldwyn explained. Writers always fixated on that. And Richard worked for 10 months on umpteen drafts, and he solved it. In 2005, Paramount hired Mark Waters to direct Lagravenes's script for Walter Mitty, but Carey had to drop out due to scheduling conflicts. He was soon replaced by Owen Wilson. Despite not having a final budget, Paramount scheduled a December 12th, 2005 start date because their option on the remake was to end 1 week later. They would lose the rights if they did not start filming before December 20th. Wilson dropped out in October 2005 over creative differences. The Hollywood Reporter also speculated that Walter Mitty began to falter after Paramount failed to cast a female lead to star opposite Wilson. Scarlett Johansson had reportedly emerged as the front runner after screen testing with Wilson earlier in October, but a deal was never signed with the actress. So Paramount executives Brad Gray and Gail Berman decided to put Walter Mitty in a turnaround. In November 2005, Goldwyn found favor at 20th Century Fox, and in May 2007, it was announced that Mike Myers was attached to the star in the title role. Jay Kogan was hired to write a new script, and that would be specifically tailored to Myers. In April of 2010, Sacha Baron Cohen was offered to accept the male role, which me personally, I would not have chosen him. It could not have been offered to a worse actor. Later that month, The Pursuit of Happiness and Stephen Conrad was hired to pen the screenplay, with Gore Verbinski announced as director in June 2010.
Oh,
But then, in April 2011, it was announced that Ben Stiller had been cast in the lead role, though no director was attached. The following July, it was announced that Stiller was also going to direct the film. So, knowing all of that production detail, let me
Mm,
go into what this film is all about, according to IMDb. When both he and his colleague are about to lose their job, Walter takes action by embarking on an adventure more extraordinary than anything he could ever have imagined. Okay, so now to the tough part. Ah, my friend Boris. Uh, what were your first impressions of this film?
Well, one thing I have to say, it's very different from the original, much more different than I expected. You said it would be more serious than the original, and it kind of is. There is less humor, but I would say there is also less drama and intensity. Like in this one, we don't have all the spies and government and stuff like that. And I would also say this one is a little bit. It was a little bit clearer to me than the original. I wasn't getting confused so much about the story, and
Yeah, it was a
it
little
was.
bit more straightforward, so to say, and I guess the daydreams were kind of more straightforward too. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Although there were a few moments where I wasn't sure if it was real or if he was daydreaming, but most of the time it was obvious. But there were a few scenes where I wasn't sure.
Well, I imagine that kind of goes into the whole process of maybe he was becoming more right of sane, because obviously in the very beginning we get a hell of a lot more daydreams, at least from this Walter Mitty. Um,
Yeah.
uh, did you enjoy the film?
Yes, yes, I did.
Okay. Um, was this a first time watch for you?
No, it was the second. The first time was on Monday when we were supposed to discuss it original, but now we watched it again, so it was my second time.
Okay. And were you confused at all the first time?
Uh,
What were your thoughts and reaction after watching it on Monday?
well, I think I wasn't too confused. During the movie, I remember getting a little confused at the helicopter part where Walter imagined Cheryl singing, but at the same time, he was getting into the helicopter. So it was kind of obvious that Cheryl singing was his imagination, but then I thought the helicopter might be too, but then it suddenly turned out to be real. So that was where I got confused for a moment, but it became clear soon enough. And
Oh yeah, there are definitely some moments of interlude here. I first saw this film back probably when it probably I didn't see it in the theater. And I didn't even know that there was an original up until recently. And to be honest, I had actually seen bits and pieces of the original, not knowing that it was The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. Now that I remember the scenes, I vaguely remember seeing bits and pieces of this film, like on TCM or something like that years ago. So,
yeah, well, if you only see bits and pieces of each, it might not be easy to make a connection because they
well,
really are quite
no,
different from each
especially
other.
when you're younger and you're watching films with your family and stuff like that, you're not really paying attention to titles and shit like that. You're just enjoying the movie, or at that point in time in my life, I was probably more interested in my Lincoln Logs or Tinker Toys or shit like that, you know. So,
Yeah.
but I watched this when it came to DVD. and I think I picked it up for like $3 a few years back. So maybe I didn't see it like when it came out, but I at least saw it with within the last 7 years. So give or take, and the first time. And then I rewatched it with my fiance just a little bit before we watched it together here, like maybe a month ago now. But I liked both enough, and the fact that I found out there was an original, I had to go back and share it with my friend, because it was just that weird and entertaining enough that you know. Both of them are different, but and now learning about all the different pitfalls that this film went through this remake here to even get any kind of a direction or actors or anything like that. I mean, to think that Jim Carrey could have actually been part of the role at one point in time, or even Sasha. Good God, that would have been a nightmare. I've been like, that would have been like if you put Alice Cooper in it. So, but in any case, but yeah, let's look at the storyline here. So, this particular character of Walter Mitty, he does work for a magazine. But the magazine that we saw in the 1947 version was more of like a graphic novel, pulp fiction type of a magazine, where this was, in fact, Life magazine. And he wasn't a top-level employee here. He was actually a lower-level management. So so it's like he was kind of like a lower man in the totem pole kind of a thing. What do you think about his job as the person who picks out, or evidently this photographer which is, let's see if I remember correctly, this photographer, his name is Sean.
Oh, him, yeah.
And Sean is evidently one of the main photographers for Life, and over time, Sean, who is actually acted by Sean Penn as an actor. So in real life, his name is Sean. But what do we think about this relationship, evidently between he is a negative assets manager, which I guess
like that,
I guess is a layman's terms for someone who manages all the photos in this magazine and make sure that they're clear and printed right, so that they can go on this magazine that Life is becoming, has been. And there is an interesting motto that is involved in this particular company, which is interesting. And I guess that's somewhat what this film is kind of about. But okay, so a company has been bought out, which Life has been bought out, and it's being turned into an online magazine instead of a paper magazine, because people aren't buying the magazine as much, and obviously it's a way to merchandise it a little bit more, because a lot of people are going to online bases and things like that. But this kind of shows a little bit about the people working for this company, but it's more about the relationship between Walter Mitty and this main photographer, kind of, isn't it?
Uh, Yeah, well, now that you mention it, that is a part that actually got me a little confused, but in the end, it didn't seem that much important to understand the whole story. But I got a bit confused about this that they were working together but never saw each other. How did that work? That was something I didn't understand.
Well, apparently it was just a relationship where he sent him the photos, and evidently he was really good at getting things right for his photography, and it kind of made he's kind of the person who's worked well. He's worked for this company for 16 years, whereas the original Walter Mitty worked 11 years for his company, um, if I remember correctly. And he's worked a lot of years and worked himself up to being like the person who was his go-to man to make sure the pictures ended up right. It ended up being the way that he wanted them to be. And he's also Walter Mitty is also someone who believes in the motto of the company, whereas this other guy that comes in and all he cares about is making sure that he closes on the one company and opens up the other, and he's not really treating the employees like they were worth something.
Yeah.
So, and one of the things that this film, I think, kind of speaks is through music a little bit. The message of David Bowie's song,
Oh,
of
indeed.
Ground Patrol to Major Tom, you know. And there's a message in there that is relayed throughout the entire film. But in order to explain some of that is kind of going into some of Walter Mitty's background. Evidently, his father had died at one point, and when he died, I guess when he was younger, he had to go and get a job at Papa John's and work his way up. And I guess he had at one point in time thought about going and backpacking throughout the whole entire country and living a different life, so to speak. So what do you think about his background, Walter Mitty's here?
Well, it does flesh him out better as a character, and yeah, well, back then he had to do those things, and now he unexpectedly gets to do some even more extraordinary things like travel all around the world and so on. And,
Oh yeah. So what happens is the photographer sends him a photo. Well, he sends him the last photo that he'll ever a photograph, and this photograph happens to be number 25. Well, he looks at the photographs and realizes that it's not there, and he can't find it anywhere. But
eh,
he's also given this wallet that has the same motto as Lifetime time does,
yeah,
and
that's
it's a gift to him, kind of like a playful thing, I guess, that we learn later on. But he ends up going on a rat race, basically, trying to track down where this photo might have ended up. because it did not end up in the original lineup of the photos, and he was looking for it to be in those photos. But he also has a crush on a certain lady. Who might be this lady?
Oh, this lady who works with him, Cheryl Welhoff, I think was the name.
Yep. And what did you think of her?
Oh, well, she was very pretty, although as a character, maybe she was not as well developed as Rosalind in the original. There wasn't so much story revolving around her, but she was fine.
Well, yeah. In the very beginning of the film, we see that he's evidently trying to sign up for a dating site, which he's evidently um, stalked and found her on. And he's trying to give her a wink. And um, evidently, the uh, site refuses to let him wink because evidently his About Me section of things that he's done is blank.
Uh,
So he ends up having a little bit of a friendship with evidently the guy who is with this dating site over time, evidently, because he's trying to flesh out his About Me section for him. And he ends up looking into the clues of finding out where Sean is, the photographer, because evidently each photo that was taken may lead to where he might actually be. And
oh yeah,
in one of the photos, it shows a few words and names, which just so happen to be the boat and the country in which the boat evidently is in. What did you think of that? Of the fact that it's kind of like a whodunit thing where he's got to follow the photos.
Well, actually, I was just about to say I found that part very interesting. The whole thing about analyzing photos and detecting clues and so on. Well, it didn't remind me of crime movies, but it reminded me of The Ring, where they were analyzing details from the videotape in order to figure out where it came from. It reminded me of that, which was actually something I found quite interesting in The Ring, and it was pretty cool to see it in a very different kind of movie too.
Oh yeah, most assuredly. And not only that, but Walter Mitty also, at least in this film as well, he tends to daydream a little bit, a bit. Uh, and he, the first daydream is about evidently him saving a dog.
Oh yeah,
When he's evidently just been talking to that dating person or whatever. He daydreams that he goes and saves a puppy for his what shall I call her? His fantasy. I guess she's his dream girl, so to speak. Just
yeah.
like in the original, he had a dream girl. But
Well, yeah, but it was a little different there.
oh yeah, it was
Mm.
definitely different there. She was involved in an espionage thing, whereas this one is just getting fired from work.
Yeah,
So
but I mean, also in the original, he had a picture of her in his mind before he even saw her in real life. So apparently, there was this unexplained coincidence about this woman he meets looking exactly like a girl from his dream, and here it's very well known that he is fantasizing about a real person he had already seen. So, like I said, that was one of the things that I found easier to understand in this one than in the original. In the original, that
Oh,
part confused me a bit, if
oh
you
yeah,
remember.
this one definitely fleshes her out as more of a fantasy relationship that he seems to be having in his mind, at least before he ends up having a relationship with her, evidently in the end. Which, spoiler alert, ladies and gentlemen, if you do not know that we are going to spoil this movie for you, just back
Oh,
uh,
yeah,
back out, go back, rewind, and watch the film yourself, because
definitely.
we're going to spoil the rest of this film for you.
Yeah, like we always do.
But yeah, and so he ends up having these dreams from time to time about her in the beginning. I mean, there was this one where it seemed like he was a mountaineer and he spoke French, and he came back and he was like, my name is Walter Mitty, and uh, here you go with my poetry falcon, you know,
Yeah.
which was kind of an odd. To me, I felt like the humor in the daydreams was like more of a weird wackiness than than a laugh out loud funny moment. You know,
Well, yeah, yeah.
like these were awkward situations no matter what. I mean, one had him being like Spider-Man to go and save a puppy. The next,
Yeah, there was this rather interesting one where he had apparently made a golden statue.
Mhm. And he does these things to impress her.
Yeah.
What what do you? Well, at least in his mind. But he never exactly says these things.
Oh, yeah, good point. It would have. Well, yeah, in the end, he did tell her that he had been thinking about her while she was trying to say something to him and he wasn't paying attention.
And when in fact he really was, and he just didn't know what to say and how to say it. I mean, whenever you
Mm,
come across a woman that you have feelings for, it's always hard to say those hard things, like "Can I take you to dinner?" or things of that nature. You know, or
yeah.
even asking them out. It's like um, or uh,
Uh,
do you relate to him as far as how he seems to not be able to communicate with her?
well, that's a good question. To be honest, I haven't been in such a situation anytime recently, but in the past, I guess I did have some situations like that.
uh, Now you've met your own fantasy, correct?
Oh,
Before,
I'm sorry. What did you say?
what is her name? Felicia Pandolfini.
Oh, her, Felicia Pandolfi.
Pandolfi.
Yeah, yeah, she was.
Now, did you meet her?
No, no,
No.
sadly no. Where would I meet her? I'm in Croatia, and
Well,
she's
you could have had an online conversation with her or something like that, or
well, I did try, but I had no luck.
well, who knows? Maybe eventually, someday, you might be able to. I know that's like your dream woman.
We could say so, yeah.
But in any case, moving on. So Walter Mitty, um, he's definitely a character. He ends up eliciting Cheryl's his the person he's been fantasizing about to help track down the photographer, and I guess she kind of helps him figure out where he is, and he ends up going to Greenland, which is kind of where where he was last seen. So, what do you think about his trip to Greenland?
Well, I must admit, I struggled a little at keeping track of all the locations he visited. But was it where he went after he went into the helicopter and all that?
It was before that, where he was in the bar with the big beer boot,
Oh,
and the
oh yeah.
karaoke.
Yeah, that was actually quite mind blowing. How when this guy attacked him, he saw his thumb and recognized that thumb from the photo. Like that's
And that
uh,
particular actor, the one that played um, the character of the pilot. I've seen him in, I think, a series not too recently. I think it was a series called Nosferatu. Um,
oh, I heard of a movie with that title, but I haven't seen it.
well, it's a TV series that was about um, a man who would steal children to bring them to a specific land of some sort, and
Oh,
um, the character who plays the drunk, I forget his name in
uh,
here.
I forgot it too.
Let's see. Is it this guy? No, it's not that guy. Just trying to the pilot. Let's see.
Let's see if I can find anything. Oh,
Maybe. Let's see. Conan O'Brien. No. Andy Richter. Anthony.
huh. Drunken Greenlanding helicopter pilot. Would that be it?
Yeah, probably.
From what I see on Wikipedia, the character's name was not even mentioned. But
Oh,
the actor, it's an Icelandic actor, and I don't know how to pronounce it.
ah. Well, in any case, I've seen him on Nosferatu before. And I'm just gonna see if I can. Nos. Okay, yeah. It was a TV series that started in 2019. I believe it was Olafur Dari Olafsson.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If that's how it's pronounced.
Olafur Dari was born in Connecticut, USA in 1973. He has lived in Iceland for most of his life and works full time as an actor. So, seeing him as this drunken fool, well, I don't consider him a fool because it was an interesting character because he could, even drunk, fly his plane.
Yeah, good point.
And I like the fact that he said, well, in Greenland. There are only all of 8 people. How could you not find this crazy thumb or something like that?
Yeah,
So
and among those 8 people, he found someone to cheat on his wife with.
but in any case, um but like I said before, this movie kind of uses Major Tom, the words to David Bowie's song. Um, he uses it well because before he even went to Greenland, Cheryl told him that evidently before he even went to Greenland, he had been egged on or made fun of by a guy who's coming in and making sure he's like the manager that is trying to close up shop and get this thing online. And he notices the fact that Walter Mitty goes into these daydream moments, and and he makes fun of him by stating things like, if I flip this paperclip at him, do you think he would move?
Well, yeah, I guess he is one of those characters who are maybe intended to come off as an annoying boss, but I personally found him rather funny most of the time.
I found him amusing too, because he even said, "Ground Patrol to Major Tom, Ground Patrol to Major Tom."
Uh, yeah, but to me personally, the funniest moment with him was when Walter told him, "You know who looks good in a beard? Dumbledore, not you."
Yeah, that was kind of funny. And then, well, and we haven't even mentioned Walter's weird sister.
Oh yeah, I must say I was quite mind blown when I realized she was his sister in this movie because her counterpart in the original was a fiance, from what I understood. So in this one, when she appeared, I assumed, aha, that's the fiance. But then when they said it was a sister, I was like, what?
Well, and she um, is played by Catherine Hahn, who was born in Westchester, Illinois. And I guess she's been in Bad Moms, Transparent, Afternoon Delights. Let's see. Oh, Captain Fantastic. Oh, let's see. Tomorrowland. Dark Around the Stars. Bad Words. We're the Millers. The Hungover Games short film, Razzle Dazzle, parts 1 and 2. Those are short films. So nothing really that I've ever really watched except maybe Step Brothers, The Last Mimsy, The Holiday, a lot of chick flicks. So to
I
say, I guess she played in How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
oh oh that one. Yeah, I saw that one.
And Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy. So, but she's kind of an odd sister. She evidently is trying out for the role of Rizzo in Grease,
Yeah.
which is a musical, which classic musical of greaser type characters, guys who would grease their hair back and wear leather jackets and be considered punks.
Uh,
But
Now that you mention it, I think I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
you've never seen Grease? It's with
I,
John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John, and it's a musical from the 80s.
oh man, well yeah, I guess I haven't seen too many movies from the 80s, but now that you mentioned Olivia Newton-John, I did see her in Xanadu. She was quite good there, so maybe I should check this out.
Maybe we can check it out, and we'll have to go through some of those that I would consider greaser type movies.
Yeah.
But in any case, she gives Walter a birthday present and gives him uh, uh, a cake that his mother has made. And his mother is an interesting character because she is played by Shirley MacLaine, if I remember correctly.
Uh,
And she, that would be Edna Mitty. Shirley MacLaine was in movies like Terms of Endearment, The Apartment, Steel Magnolias, The Trouble with Harry. Oh, that's an Alfred Hitchcock film.
oh wow.
Let's see. But yeah, in fact, that was her first movie that she was in. Around the World in 80 Days in 1956 as Princess Akuta.
Whoa.
Let's see. The original Ocean's 11. Let's see. Two for the Seesaw, Irma La Douche. What a Way to Go, John Gulfar, Please Come Home. Gambit, Woman Times 7. The Bliss of Mrs. Blossom, Sweet Cheer. Oh, Two Mules for Sister Sarah. That was a Clint Eastwood film.
Oh, cool.
That's one of my fiance's favorite films. Let's see. And then okay, so she was in Cannonball Run 2. Seeing if there's any other films that I might know her from. Oh, the West Side Waltz. Believe it or not, I know that one. Mrs. Winterbourne. The Evening Star. Oh, the Salem Witch Trials movie. She was Rebecca Nurse.
Oh, interesting.
On the movie Bewitched, she was Iris Smithson or Endora. Rumor has it, Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day, that was with I think that, yeah, that was with Jessica Alba and Kathy Bates was in there. Hector Elizondo, Jennifer Garner. That's a good cast.
Ooh.
But in any case, yeah. So she pretty much has been in quite a few things. She was in Anna Green Gables: A New Beginning, a TV movie from 2008. She was in Downton Abbey, a couple episodes.
Oh, cool.
And I guess she's in The Little Mermaid.
Oh, wow.
For 2018, which was directed by Blake Harris and Chris Fouchard. So, but other than that, okay. So, we have him go to Greenland, and David Bowie's song "Major Tom" is sung, so that it makes him get on this helicopter, which is flown by these drunken pilot, and he gets dropped off in the middle of the ocean near this boat, and he was supposed to jump off near the little boat, but he jumped off towards the big boat.
Oh, yeah. That was.
And he imagines that porpoises are sharks
Uh,
swimming around him. What did you think about that whole scenario there. Were you laughing a little bit?
Well, a little bit, yeah, but I also found it kind of scary, actually. Some scenes like that in movies kind of make me wonder, like, in movies and shows, we see all sorts of situations where someone finds themselves in danger, like, where someone is shooting and they barely escape a bullet or something like that. Many near death experiences, and then in the movie or in the show they just portrayed it like they survived and that's it. They never discuss possible psychological effects on being in such a situation. And I mean, if I found myself in a situation like that, I would probably end up with PTSD or something.
I would imagine so. I mean, I imagine that some of those moments that we see, where it was more of a CGI moment, where the sharks were not really there.
Well, yeah, but for Walter himself, it wasn't CGI.
No, it definitely was not. But ultimately, once he got on the boat, he realized that Sean was not there, but he was told that he was picked up not too recently or dropped off in Iceland or something like that, or took a plane, and but he ended up finding a paper that evidently was written his photography schedule, of where he was going to be taking photographs. And he asks a few questions about different things, and he finds out that he may actually be in Iceland near or around a volcano.
Yeah.
And he ultimately gets to Iceland through the help of these boatmen. And what do you think about that? The moment he arrives in Iceland, where he's told there's only one bicycle and there are a bunch of horny seamen.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. And also when this other guy was trying to say eruption, but apparently his English wasn't very good or something, so it sounded like he said erection.
Well, that could have been a daydream or something like that.
Huh, a good point.
But in any case, he finds out that, uh, in fact, well, he also learns that before he even came to Greenland and Iceland, that Cheryl's son is really into skateboarding, and
Oh yeah.
evidently he was quite into the scene when he was younger. So that comes into play here, where he comes across a a couple of kids who have a skateboard, and he makes trade of the stretchy toy that. Oh, that was probably my favorite moment. The fact where he fantasized that his boss was trying to take his stretchy toy from him.
Oh. Oh yeah, yeah, and it ended up in a physical fight, like a bit unrealistic one.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. Where it seemed like he was skiing on gravel, and to just catch up with the guy, and when it bounced them both back, and they were just about to punch each other's lights out. That's when he was like, "Hello."
Yeah.
But I would have to say that that's my favorite uh, daydream out of this whole stuff that he daydreams about, because that was pretty whacked out.
He definitely was.
But ultimately, he trades this stretchy toy, which evidently was a wrestler at one point that you could stretch to like a unlimited amount of stretchy points, and he was able to trade it for that cool skateboard, which he ended up grabbing some rocks and having a cool ride in the countryside to some really cool music.
Ooh, it was cool, yeah.
But ultimately, he finds out that the volcano is erupting, and he is rescued by evidently a hotel owner who wishes him luck in finding his friend, and he ends up having to go back home in kind of a defeat, and kind of having a moment with his mother. But what did you think about that moment when he realizes that Sean had come and visited his mom a week ago?
Well, it was actually very interesting. I always find situations like that interesting in movies, like where a character is trying to find something or someone and does all sorts of things in order to find it, and then it suddenly turns out it was right in front of his nose all the time. Like you didn't have to go here and there. You could have just asked your mother.
Well, that, and ultimately when he ends up meeting up with Sean in what was it, Afghanistan?
Yes, yes, on the
And
Himalayas.
yep, he climbs to the top of the Himalayas in order to find Sean, and he finds him. And basically, he tells him, "You're sitting on it."
Uh,
Which I mean, the photograph. And he's like, "No, what do you mean?" And he's like, "Well, the wallet I gave you, it put it in the
yeah,
photo thing. It's kind of a playful thing. You
yeah,
never do that."
yeah. Actually, that's, in my opinion, one of the most interesting aspects of the movie. Like throughout the movie, they give out so many clues that you don't pay attention to the first time you're watching because you don't think they're too relevant. Like Walter has received this wallet, and you don't think it's a big deal. You don't pay much attention to it unless you know how it's going to come into play later on. So some details like that were to me very interesting to notice while watching for the second time.
And I could see how Walter could not have, put two and two together about the photo being in the wallet. It was just kind of like a mistake. I mean, he thought something totally different, and his job became on the line because of this photograph that was missing. And you know, ultimately, I mean, it was more about yeah, Walter finding out what he wants to do in his life. Once everything is in the clear. I mean, ultimately, at the end of everything, he doesn't even want his job back. I think he just wants to experience life. You know.
Hmm, yeah, and okay, maybe he also wanted to prove his point to that boss.
Well, that too.
Mm,
He wanted to stick it to him at least, if anything, and he did it honestly enough. I mean, he didn't do it in a way that was demeaning or anything. He was like, "Hey, dude, just remember the people that were here that made this company what it is. What is in fact the motto? And he's like,
Uh,
dude,
yeah.
that's McDonald's. It's like,
Yeah, like he didn't even know.
yeah. So it's interesting that he's able to stick it to him in an honest way, you know.
Definitely.
And ultimately, you get to see kind of what goes on in a corporation when people are told to leave their jobs a little bit too. I mean, these guys are like I told you, it's bad, man, and even people that he's worked with are leaving the company. So um, that's another aspect that you get to see through this whole thing, and ultimately. What was on the photo doesn't really even matter to him in the end, and he's actually kind of surprised that it's actually a picture of him.
Mm. Yeah, I didn't expect that. And when he asked Sean what it was, Sean said something, ghost cat, Walter Mitty, something like that.
Let's just chalk this up to being a ghost cat,
Uh,
and that's a reference to the fact that you know he's up there in these Himalayas to capture the moment of a snow leopard, because evidently a snow leopard doesn't normally let itself get seen unless it wants to,
huh,
and that's
yeah.
why they call it a ghost cat, because no one ever really gets to see it. But there was a moment where they both kind of get to see the snow leopard, so evidently this is a moment that is special.
Huh, yeah.
And I like the fact that Sean Penn's character, he basically says, well, to Walter Mitty's comment, well, um, why aren't you taking the picture? And he's like, well, some moments, especially if I personally like them, I just like to enjoy them. Just breathe in the moment and let it happen
Huh.
instead of trying to capture it. Live it.
Yeah, that's. I guess that's kind of a debatable thing to say. I personally, if I'm enjoying some moment, I will want to have an everlasting memory of it. So I would probably choose to take that photo.
Well, I probably would have too, but I guess in certain moments like this, watching it happen was more enjoyable and memorable to him instead of capturing it and you only have the photograph of it. You know,
Huh.
our our
Uh,
memories sometimes are more important than a photograph.
hmm. Well, yeah, good point.
I mean, if your family took you on a trip to some really cool place, you have that memory and you have it, you know, recorded in your memory banks as far as you know. I mean, over time, you may forget like little things here and there, but there is always like that one or two very cool moments that you have in your life.
Well, yeah. That reminded me of something funny that happened when I was in Switzerland as a kid.
Where did you go in Switzerland?
We were in a town called Dietikon. It's a very small place, but we tended to go here and there during the day. I was really young, maybe 4 or 5 years old. I don't remember every detail, but I do remember one moment when we went to a zoo and There they gave me some bag of popcorn to feed animals with, and I was feeding. What's it called in English? Is it llama or llama? How is it pronounced in English?
A llama?
Llama, yeah, yeah. I was feeding a llama with the popcorn, and it suddenly grabbed the whole bag out of my hand and started to eat. It ate the whole bag, including the paper, and we all were standing there and watching and laughing. And I even think my father recorded it with a camera. We probably still have it somewhere, but I probably never watched that recording except maybe when we had just made it. But yeah, that's one thing that I still remember from back then.
I remember a time when I was 17, and I think we were, or was it when I was 11? Trying to remember.
Huh.
My father had been 3 weeks in Australia, and we took a trip down to Australia. It was like a 18-hour flight from O'Hare, and we spent 2 weeks in Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, and back to Sydney again, and then 2 days in San Francisco. And there was a moment where he took us out to a place that was called Paradise Beach, and he told us to get outside of the car, and we had some cookies. Okay,
Yes.
and we took the cookies outside of the bag, and all of a sudden, these really beautiful flock of parrots were like flying all over my sister and myself, and
Ugh.
eating the food that we had, and they I had at least like 10 parrots, like somewhere on my legs, somewhere like hanging underneath my arms. It was
you,
weird. It was
you,
weird to have birds fly that close to me and have that much color.
you had a real life birdemic situation.
Except Birdemic was even worse.
Yeah, yeah.
How did you find out about those films?
About
Birdemic.
pandemic. Well, I'm into independent movies and so on, but actually, this particular one, I think it was mentioned in a group chat I was part of a while ago, where some people were talking about movies that were famous for being bad, and they mentioned Birdemic, and I got curious about it.
Yeah, and Birdemic
Uh,
2 is even worse.
Uh, I haven't seen the second part, at
Oh,
least not yet.
you've seen the first one though?
Yes, yes, I have it on DVD. I actually found it rather fun. Well, maybe the first half of the movie not so much, but the second part where the birds appear and everything, it was quite hilarious,
The
at least
the
to
the,
me.
the clip art birds,
Yeah, yeah.
the ones that that even you could create.
Almost, yeah. It made me wonder. I'm not sure if I have ever told you. I don't know. Maybe it's a too long story to go into that now.
Maybe
Uh,
another time.
yeah, maybe.
But ultimately, what did you think of this film compared to the other film?
Well, I would say each had its own stronger points, but I think maybe in this case I slightly prefer the remake over the original, although both were really good. I enjoyed both, but maybe I would go with this one because it was easier to understand. There weren't as many moments I found confusing as in the first one, so maybe that's why. But yeah, both were each was good in its own way.
I like to think so too. No matter how crazy the first one went, which it did kind of go a little crazy.
Yeah.
Um, to having a more somber comedian, um, and that's what I think. He's more of a dark comedy actor. Per se. Well, Ben Stiller, he's definitely different. I know that he was in the movie Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers and
Oh
uh,
yeah.
things of that nature. But I liked him in a movie called Mystery Men, where he was kind of like an anti-hero.
Phew. So that's some more serious movie.
It's it is and it isn't. I like it, and then again, it's a superhero movie of sorts.
Oh, interesting.
We'll have to
You
check it out one of these times.
you say mystery mystery well.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, 1999 American superhero comedy. Yeah, I found it on Wikipedia.
Yep.
Yeah, it would be interesting to watch.
Oh yeah, especially since you see Jeffrey Rush before he's become part of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Oh, yeah.
Jeffrey Rush, he played Barbossa in the Pirates films. Captain Barbossa, the one that
Yeah.
always played counterpart to Johnny Depp's character of Sparrow.
Yeah.
But in any case, alrighty. Favorite scenes, if you could.
Let's see. Well, I guess it would probably be the moment when Walter's mom tells him that Sean was there, and the whole thing about the whole thing is revealed that she knew Sean because that was a really unexpected plot twist. And when Walter is like, "But why didn't you tell me?" And she says, "But I did, but you zoned out and didn't perceive it or something." That's uh, that's a situation I find a little relatable.
Yeah, because sometimes even real people zone out uh, from time
Yeah.
to time. If you're in class and you don't want to be there, and you're thinking of like the latest movie or something like that, or
Oh, oh yeah. I've had many moments like that.
and then all of
Although
a sudden the teacher calls on you and you're like, huh, what?
yeah, well, like I said the last time, my daydreams don't become as vivid as Walter's ones, but yeah, sometimes while I'm listening to someone, I pay one word they say, and then my flow of thoughts goes off somewhere else, and I get lost. I don't. I forget the next thing this person said. Things like that can happen to me.
I hear you. Well, and let's see. I think my favorite scene is probably the whole the whole scene with the stretch toy. And, and my second is the fact that he thinks there's sharks there.
Oh, oh yeah, yeah.
But I don't know. I get a kick out of both films myself. But what I do enjoy in both films is the music. I mean, there were not as many music songs in the original. I mean, there were just the two, but those were wacky songs.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that when you mentioned wacky songs, that kind of reminded me of the song from that movie we watched a while ago, Trail of the Screaming Forehead. That one was
yeah,
pretty whacked out.
that one was pretty fun. Um, let's see. And the soundtrack here has "Man-Eater" by Daryl Hall, John and Oates. So that was by Hall and Oates, performed by Knightsbridge. "Escape," the Pina Colada song. "Wake Up" by Win Butler, Regine Chastain, Tim Kingsbury, Richard uh, Reed Perry, performed by Arcade Fire. "Don't You Want Me" by Phil Oakey and Philip Adrian Wright and Joe Callis. "Far Away," performed by Jose Gonzalez. "Far Away," performed by Jump. And the song that was sung by David Bowie here is called "The Space Odyssey." Oddity. Um, which I actually like um, several versions of "A Space Odyssey." Oddity. Not just the David Bowie version. One of my favorite '80s bands is called Saigon Kick, and they did a decent version of "A Space Oddity" as well. So,
Ooh.
my favorite song, if I had to say a favorite song, was and has been for a long time, because it is one of the best harmonies you can hear from an '80s hair band. Is "Love Is on the Way" by Saigon
Oh,
Kick. So, but Lake Michigan, which is a song written by Zach Rogue and performed by Rogue Wave. Dirty Paws, which is performed by Of Monsters and Men. The Wolves and the Ravens, which is performed by Rogue Valley. Stay Alive, which is performed by Jose Gonzalez. Step Out, which is performed by Jose Gonzalez. Don't Let It Pass, which is performed by Jump. The Pina Colada song again, which is performed by Jack Johnson. And Dream, which is performed by Jose Gonzalez. So those are the songs that were on the film. And I think that the song sounded definitely very 70s.
oh yeah.
So let's see. Oh, when Ben Stiller is running out of the life building to go to Iceland, he passes. Let's see. Where is that? Oh, let's see. Okay, so all Greenland shots were shot in Iceland.
Oh, cool.
Let's see. And the drunken copter pilot jokes that there are like 8 people in Greenland. When Walter goes to Greenland, he only sees 8 different people. Life was an American photo journalism magazine. It was published weekly from 1936 to 1972. As an intermittent specialist from '72 to '78, and monthly from 1978 to 2000. From 2004 to 2007, it was a weekly newspaper supplement published by Time Inc. In its heyday, it occupied 5 floors of the Time and Life building in Midtown Manhattan. George's story appeared as a baby in the first picture in the first issue of Life, published November 23rd, 1936. He died April 4th, 2000, days after Life announced it would no longer be published as a monthly.
Oh.
Sean O'Connell's camera has its Nikon logo blacked out. The movie's producers may not have had Nikon's permission to use their name. However, many real-life professional photographers cover their cameras' logos to avoid questions from lay photographers, avoid advertising their gear choices, and shield the expensive gear from potential thieves.
That's quite interesting. I actually have a Nikon camera myself. Well, it's my father's camera, but I actually have it right here. It's it's the camera that my Boris short was filmed with.
when when the boat lands in Iceland, 2 of the crewmen encourage Walter to run to the only bicycle available, because a group of horny Chileans want to take the bicycle to a strip club. Iceland's parliament banned strip clubs in 2010. The law made stripteases illegal and banned any club from making a profit based on an employee's nudity. Let's see. Technically, Life magazine had 2 issues. The last monthly issue was published May 20th, 2000. The cover story, Premature Baby, by Jason Michael Waldman Jr., featured a picture of a tiny baby, born prematurely, held in someone's hands, connected to life-supporting tubes. The last printed issue was the supplement published April 20th, 2007. The cover story, 21 places you've got to go to see to believe America's hidden treasures, featured a photo of John F. Kennedy statue at President's Park, South Dakota. When Walter arrives in Greenland and asks if there are any cars available, they tell him that they have a blue one and a red one. Walter tells the man, "I'll take the red one." In the movie The Matrix, Morpheus tells Neo, "You take the blue pill." The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Oh, so that was a reference to Matrix.
Yep.
Wow, I didn't notice.
Neither did I. While Kristen Wiig did sing Major Tom in the Iceland bar scene, she admits she cannot play guitar. She took lessons before filming so she could strum and move her hands believably. When one of the men shouts to Walter Mitty while he's running for the bike, the man shouts, "Stay gold, pony boy, stay gold," a reference to S.E. Hinton's teen novel, The Outsiders, which was also a movie. Let's see. And the fact that Ben Stiller actually directed this film in the end is quite something too. I think this was one of. Let's see. I'm gonna check here real quick. What else has Ben Stiller directed? I know he's been a producer on many things, but directing? Okay. So, oh, okay. He directed the film Reality Bites. What? Did he really?
What?
Ben Stiller directed The Cable Guy.
Oh,
Which is kind of funny because The Cable Guy has um Jim Carrey in it. I guess he
wow.
also directed Zoolander and Tropic Thunder and Zoolander 2. And I guess he's done several TV series stuff too. So it's definitely interesting that he has been a director before, and I didn't realize it.
Yeah, I didn't know it either.
But let's see. As a producer, he was a producer of Zoolander, Duplex, Crooked Line, Starsky and Hutch, Dodgeball, A True Underdog Story, Tenacious D in The Pick of Destiny, Blades of Glory, The Ruins, Tropic Thunder, The Boys, The Station, A Night of 140 Tweets, Submarine, Megamind, 30 Minutes or Less, The Big Year, Nantucket Film Festival's Comedy Roundtable, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. I guess The Package, +1, Dark Cargo, Dinner in America, Have a Good Trip, Celebrity Escape Room, Friendsgiving, he was a producer on that film, Queen Pins, and I guess he's the producer of Dodgeball 2.
Oh, wow.
Which is only been announced so far. Other than that, I think we've covered everything. So, unless you have something to add about this film.
I'm not sure. I think I said everything I had to say, or I, d- I don't know if I was going to say something more, I forgot.
Ah, well, in any case, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming with us on this pleasurable journey of discovering the secret life of Walter Mitty and his daydreams, at least twice in a lifetime.
Yeah.
Because we covered the first one in 1947 and this one. So hopefully you enjoyed our meanderings and our discussion, and hopefully you take this discussion and use it as a guideline and see whether you could have thought of something different while watching either one of these films. So thank you for listening. Have a great day, evening, or morning, wherever you are. Let me know down in the comments whether you've seen this film, and let us know if you're going to go out and watch the film. I mean, it's not too bad. I'd give it a one-time watch, and just let us know what you thought. So thank you and enjoy.
Indeed, thank you.
Alrighty.